et françaises font la même chose. Ouais.
Thank you very, very much. This is very generous. En théorie, je pourrais parler français, mais il est mieux pour moi et pour vous que je parle anglais, je pense.
Tu peux parler en italien, si tu veux.
En italien, oui.
Non,
No, mais I think English is...
You think in English.
But stop me if something is not clear. I will keep it slow and simple. First, the alphabetical order. This is not a detail. Digital humanities, humanité numérique, computational criticism, this has become as a practice and not as a theory. So people doing things together. And we had to decide what to do. There is 5 of us who have written this paper. And there is the scientific model. The scientific model is very hierarchic. A professor is the head of a lab.
But he doesn't sign first.
He signs last.
Yes.
Last and first are the two important
Yes.
ones.
Yeah.
We decided that the structure was too undefined to have these precise, therefore alphabetical orders. Therefore, a young woman, a student at the beginning, named Allison, always came first, until a certain Algie Hewitt arrived, and then he was above her. But, you know, but it's important that it began as a practice, and it's not really a good thing. Theories begin with ideas. In this case, a new, not theory, let's say a new field has begun not with ideas, but with tools, imported from another continent, from other disciplines. And this, in my opinion, has brought very different developments in different places. We, and this is what Jérôme was saying at the beginning, we tried to turn these new tools and these new practices, because when you have a tool, you immediately start doing things. That's what tools are for. You have an archive, you have algorithms, you put the archive into the program, and it does something. This is very simple. You always find something. You don't necessarily find something interesting. I will return to this, to the results. So we, and in this case, I think I can say I, really tried to give this research as strong a twist towards theory as possible. This has taken many forms to which I will return. I'm just saying that not only it was not automatic or inevitable, but to a large extent, this small group at Stanford has remained unique in the panorama of digital humanities in mentioning Shklovsky or Spitzer or Auerbach or Benveniste or Coiré or Canguilhem and so on, theory literary and not literary. Because the zeitgeist, the spirit of the digital humanities leads towards untheorized results. All right. I will just theory in what direction we try to move. It was interesting that you mentioned this business about attribution at the beginning. This is what happens. There is a group, but saying there is a group doesn't mean there is harmony. A group is made of people who disagree most of the time. And in this case, there were people interested in attribution, and I don't care at all about attribution. So I'd completely forgotten those pages on attribution, which are in the first chapter. So we decided, some of us, including myself, pushed the program towards studying not attribution, but indeed genres.
Yeah.
This, yes.
Nous nous apercevons soudain de l'importance du marqueur
Well,
auteur.
well, yeah.
And then you move.
And then we
beyond.
find it, and then we decide, we
Yeah.
try to move beyond. This was a surprise. Genres, well, you said, for you, it has been a less significant concept in research. For me, it's the opposite. It was very much my main, perhaps leading concept. I would make this claim that what digital humanities does with books, which is it takes 200 books, 2,000, 20,000 books, and transforms them into abstract objects like these charts that you have here, something that does not resemble a book. Distributions, trends, morphological trees, it doesn't matter. They cannot be read. They have a purely theoretical reality. This reality, I think, provides a better object for the study of genre. Obviously, the theory of genre has existed for generations. It has had incredibly high points conceptually. It has never had the right object to study. Some heroic researchers led a lot of Gothic novels or Petrarchan sonnets, etc. But by and large, there was no appropriate object. I think that algorithms prepare perhaps not the ideal object for the theory of genre, but a better object than the ones we have had so far. This doesn't mean that the theory of genre will change. It means that it can finally work on a more appropriate reality. As you have said, Antoine, and it's a refrain, it's a leitmotif of the book. I think that what has happened so far in these first, say, 10 years is that we have produced a lot of new objects, but not many new interpretations of the interesting kind, that is to say, of the counterintuitive. In fact, at Stanford 3 years ago, precisely because we were beginning to think, okay, all this data, all these charts, but what about ideas? So we started to invite people for a series that we called So What? It's one of the étalons. We had to stop it after 2 invitations because no one could answer this question. It was clear. No one knew, okay, we have produced all of this, and what have we changed? Corroboration is important. Corroboration is important, but it's not very exciting. And especially not if you are entering a new field. Corroboration is part of normal science, but it's not what a new field wants to do. A new field wants to do something new, not prove that the old fields were right. This is clear. All right. So, in this movement, I would say that there have been 2 types of results which I think are interesting. The first has to do with the relationship between data and concepts. Not in many cases, but in some important cases, the data we found contradict established concepts of literary theory. It happened to me to find, for instance, certain data about dramatic conflict, tragic conflict, that seems to me to completely contradict Hegel's theory of tragic collision. It's not the only theory of tragic collision. It's a very important theory. It's a very elegant, it's a very powerful theory of tragic drama. The data we have contradict that. This does not mean that the data provide a new concept, but they prove the need for a new concept. So in this case, it is, at least there is this new agonistic quality that is inserted in literary reflection. It is really an attempt, and in this respect, I would make a sort of meta claim. The presence of quantitative data and the use of quantitative data to test existing concepts allows us to see these concepts more clearly. Concepts are like our glasses. We put them on, we use them, and we no longer see them. If you have to try to quantify them, or if you have to try to measure them against quantitative results, all of a sudden you see the concept more clearly. Again, the data don't tell you what you should think about the concept, but they create a situation of tension.
Yes, it's interesting, your discussion with Bourdieu from that point
Yeah.
of view, because you have more or less the same results as Bourdieu in
But not
Irregular.
exactly.
Not exactly, and then you can discuss Bourdieu's notion of popularity and canonicity on a basis which he lacks.
Yeah, exactly. Which
So
he does not use, at least when he talks about the literary field.